Perhaps we can remedy this problem of passive learning from our students by just the way that we prepare. Please get in the habit of asking this question every time you begin to prepare. Today, what are my students going to do? Instead of asking this question when I begin to prepare. Today, what am I going to do to teach my students? I know that seems like a subtle change, but it is a very important change. We must ask, today, what are my students going to do to learn, rather than planning what I'm going to do to help them learn. Let's go to the classroom. Let me give you a couple examples of what I mean.
It's important that you recognize that as a teacher in seminaries and institutes, you are not a presenter. You are a trainer. A teacher who is more of a presenter than a trainer might say to his class, everyone turn to Acts chapter 2, verses 37 and 38. I'm going to read these verses and I'd like you to follow along. He then reads these verses and then says, okay, this is how I feel about these verses. I think these verses are very similar to the articles of faith, especially the fourth article of faith. But that's presenting. A teacher who wants to help her students play their role in learning might do something like this. Please, everyone, open up to Acts chapter 2. I would like you to search through these verses and find a verse or two that seems very similar to the fourth article of faith. Well, that's a different question, and that causes your students to act rather than just listening to you and me. Another way to do that in a class that's quiet and perhaps is lacking participation is just to ask questions like this. In just a second, I'm going to ask a question. The question is written up here on the board. It says right here, can you find the second article of faith in Acts chapter 2? And then I am going to ask 3 or 4 of you to respond to that question. So I'm going to put you in pairs and ask each of you to search through Acts chapter 2 and see if you can find a set of verses that is related to the second article of faith. Rather than just telling them what you have discovered, you have planned an activity that they will actually physically do. They will search the scriptures together. You've told them what you expect. You've told them that you are going to call on 4 or 5 of them. Jack, I'm going to call on you. Tommy, I'm going to call on you. Mackenzie, I'm going to call on you. Another way to help our students play their role in class is to do an exercise like this. I'm going to give you verses 1 through 10 this side of the room. I'm going to give you 11 through 20 this side of the room. And what I'd like you to do is search through these verses looking for a truth. Now, a question like that is not packaged with, hey, students, make sure you find what I'm asking you to find. Sometimes students in class will say, Brother Jepson, I don't know if this is what you're looking for. And for me, that is an indication that perhaps I am acting on my students too much and not allowing them to act. They need to act in order to fulfill their role. So provide them with opportunities to search the scriptures and discover truths on their own. Provide them with opportunities to show what they did and how they did it. That's what we mean by inviting our students to play their role in learning.
Perhaps you're considering these ideas and thinking to yourself, but my students won't talk and share. Try this idea in Ideas for Variety called power phrases. You can list these phrases and ask your students to finish them as a way to participate meaningfully. You can find this idea in Ideas for Variety. It's called power phrases. Walk in to your preparation with this question. What are my students going to do to learn? Rather than, what am I going to do in order to help them to learn? As we think about what they will do in the learning process and plan accordingly, it will change passive learners to active learners. Give it a shot. Thanks, brothers and sisters. We'll see you next time.